So when you hit participants, you'll see the attendees list, right?
I had them up there. Where did they go? And right now I still have attendees as 0.
Okay, good. That's what I
have
have
6
too.
of us, right?
Yes.
Now I'm not seeing their names listed. I'm not even seeing our, there we go. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome, all you early tuner inners. I love it when people test their technology and are coming into the session. This is the webinar on the Masters in Public Administration, Claremont Lincoln University. We hope you're ready to rock because it is a completely frame-breaking degree. It's time for a change, folks, and you're part of it. So welcome, welcome as you come on board. Do me a favor in the chat. When you have a minute, tell us who you are and where you're from, if you're so willing. We're going to hang here for about 7-8 more minutes as we get everybody on board. Hello, Donald. Hello, Lydia. And I see you've got Caroline coming on board, Joan, Eva. You're going to see some live streaming occur here as we go on as well. We have about 60 of you joining the webinar. We have no clue how many are going to be live streaming. Again, if you're coming online, mention in the chat who you are. We'd love to know if you're so willing. And your favorite word for the day, if you'd like. Welcome, Linda. So far, the women are outnumbering our guys. Oh, so Lydia, your favorite word for the day is kindness. Oh, yeah, let's remember that during the webinar. It really is about being kind to neighbors, students, faculty, society, children, our planet, our pets. Oh, wait, benevolent. Wow, Donald, you're heady today, benevolent. I think about that one for a while. Benevolent leadership, ethical leadership. Great ideas. Welcome others as you're coming on board. Thank you so much. And if you're live streaming out there, I know you can't chat with us, but if you'd like, just make those words of the day that you want to remember for the day in your mind. And we're glad you're joining us. We have another Linda coming on board. So we've got 5 minutes before the webinar starts. Again, you're chiming in to Claremont Lincoln University. We're launching a brand new Master's in Public Administration. It's new, it's for you, and it has all the things you really need to learn if you're trying to be part of this new leadership ecosystem. It's time for a change, folks. For those of you who can see the screen, you can see our panelists coming on board. You're soon going to be introduced to them. You will remember the others. I'm here to bring you the practical things. We have the incredible Kendra, the wonderful Jed, the fabulous Mac, and then of course our host is Paquita, and we'll keep you entertained. Welcome. Now so many are coming online, I can't see them. Welcome Jacob, welcome Joan, welcome Joanna. Again, if you're just joining us, we'd love to hear who you are. Put that in the chat along with your word of the day. We've got Judy online, we've got Katie, we've got Brian, and we've got Crystal. We have Elaine. Welcome everybody, and welcome everybody who's streaming as well. Thank you for joining us at Claremont Lincoln University, where we offer socially conscious education. We're looking today at what it means to be a leader in a nonprofit, in public service, in a career, in your home, in your community, in your volunteer work. It's about what you want to be and do to make this world a better place. Positive social change. We have more coming online. Welcome, everybody. Hello, Jacob. Okay, so he's a senior planner at the City of Pasco, Washington. Excellent, excellent. Compassionate is Caroline's word. I love these words. Benevolent, compassionate, kindness. My word for the day in an earlier webinar was curriculum. I know that sounds so academic, doesn't it? But see, curriculum actually, if you listen to what it was meant to be, it's the continuous reconstruction of yourself and society so that we are always better, more inclusive, more diverse, more ethical, more equitable. So welcome, everybody. We have more coming in as we should have because we have 60. Hello, Ben. Thanks for joining us. Hey, tell us who you are. We have Faith on board. We have another Joan, another Linda, Catherine, Lincoln. I think I know that name. If you just want to tell us your word of the day in the chat, we'd love to have you tell us that. Welcome to everyone who's streaming. Again, you're joining the webinar. It's time for a change. Claremont Lincoln University, the Lincoln Institute of Land Policy, and the new collaborative Masters in Public Administration. Why it's for you and for you now. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Let's just give everybody a moment to kind of chime in. We're going to do a quick background check here, and I'll be right back. Oh, I couldn't stay away. I'm so sorry. Ben, I love your word, emergence. That's great. And then we have Linda, who's inspiration. Thank you so much. You saw a quick flash there of the Claremont Lincoln University building. We're at 150 West 1st Street in Claremont, California, a city loaded with institutions devoted to your learning. We hope you're looking at Claremont Lincoln University. We hope you're interested in making positive social change, that you're looking at a public administration degree, and we're going to convince you why it's right for you and why it's perfect to take now. Again, welcome. We're expecting about 60 some folks. If you're just joining us, we have Lydia, we have Lisa, yet another Linda, a Veronica, we have Will, we have Yanira. Folks, tell us who you are. Give us a word of the day. We've got some good ones so far. And for all of you streaming, we'll be starting in just a minute. You can see the panelists that are on your screen. Paquita is our fabulous moderator. She will be introducing us soon. We have representatives from Claremont Lincoln University, the president from the Lincoln Institute of Land Policy, and the mayor pro tem of Claremont, California, Jed Liano. We'll be starting just a minute. Welcome, everybody who's joining us. Anne, glad to see you on board. I see we have Isaiah, we have a Jacob, we have a Javier. We have Kate, we have Nita, we have Patrick, we have Sarah, we have Whitney. Folks, thank you for joining us. If you have access to the chat, please tell us who you are, enter your word for the day. We have inspiration, emergence, kindness, benevolence. Mine was the real type of curriculum, continuous reconstruction of self and society. We have a Michelle, wonderful, wonderful. Oh, I like yours, Eva, great word, encouraging, motivated. Ooh, Javier, maybe we'll have to call on you for a question. Oh, responsibility. Ann Turner, responsibility. Yes, we're responsible. All of us are responsible for positive social change. We're going to get this conversation started. Right now, we have about 63 folks that are coming online. A good 47 plus more have already joined. We have folks live and streaming. I am going to turn this back over to you, Paquita. I have approximately 2 minutes after the hour, and I am sure people want to hear somebody else's voices other than mine. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We are recording this event and streaming live on Facebook and LinkedIn. We are excited for this opportunity to be together and to learn more about the new dynamic Master in Public Administration program here at Claremont Lincoln University and how we can drive positive social change in more meaningful ways. My name is Pakita Gant, and I am a proud CLU graduate from the Organizational Leadership Program. True to CLU's values, I have the opportunity to make change in my corner of the world as a mentor to new talent as they enter the world of business, leadership roles within the nonprofit space, and my day-to-day career space managing within HR operations. And I am joined today by an esteemed group of panelists, Dr. George Mac McCarthy, President and CEO of the Lincoln Institute of Land Policy. Welcome, George. Mac, excuse me. We also have Jed Liano, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Claremont. Welcome. And Dr. Lynn Priddy, President of Claremont Lincoln University, whose voice you have been hearing throughout the earlier part of the day. And as well as Dr. Kendra Smith, Chair of the MPA program of Claremont Lincoln University. Welcome. We will hear from them shortly, but for this panel discussion, we have some important questions we will be answering. Questions that you may be thinking of asking, and questions and answers that will give you a better understanding of what this MPA program has to offer. We hope you take into account that these answers come from various voices in our community, and their perspectives will provide a holistic and comprehensive account of the program. We will also spend a few minutes after the panel discussion to answer your own questions. Thank you again for your time. So without further ado, I'd like to get started. So, Jed, you are clearly a change maker yourself. You're on the front lines. You're a vice mayor who is dealing with equity-driven change, policy, resource allocations. Who should pursue a CLU MPA and why?
Akita, thank you for the question, and to all of us here today, thank you for being with us to talk about this exciting program. I was invited to be a part of this with one of my closest friends, Dr. Ann Turner, who in her previous capacity at the city of Claremont ran Claremont's homelessness program. And that's where we worked together, making sure that we had affordable housing and solutions for our unsheltered and most vulnerable residents here in Claremont. And when Dr. Turner approached me and asked if I would be interested in helping build out this program, it was the summer and the fall of 2020. It was a time of great reevaluation. Who are we as a society? What do our government institutions stand for? And when I looked around my circles and my networks, I realized that in my very short time in public service and politics, I had met a lot of change makers who understood that all of our policy areas, transportation, housing, law enforcement, budgeting, services, they were all built on a foundation that had substantial cracks in it that were at its core institutional racism. And we wanted to help create a program that educated and trained the next generation of change makers in government and policy with that understanding. When we looked around and evaluated the MPA space, clearly there is now a shift and a focus to studying diversity, equity, and inclusion. But this program at Claremont Lincoln, at its core, the foundation of what we do and what we study is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that's why I'm really proud to be a part of it. That's why I invited some of my friends like the State Treasurer, Fiona Ma, like State Senator Scott Wiener, like council members from cities like Irvine, Elk Grove, Culver City, school board members from Compton and Linwood. I'm really happy to have a diverse array of change makers on board to help shape this exciting new program. So that's who I hope is interested in this program. And if that's the kind of change that you believe government should be, I hope that's why you'd think about enrolling in this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And for Lynn, As president of Claremont Lincoln University, you're working to change the ecosystem of leadership. Who should pursue this type of degree and why?
So I'm going to go back to something Jed said. So Jed kept saying core to social change. Claremont has a core, and at the core of Claremont is a focus on ethical leadership, ethical, inclusive, equitable, and not just focused on diversity, but actively seeking out diverse leaders who are going to step into this new ecosystem and who are going to create the change that we know we all need. Now, who is it? It's you. You're already primed. If you're chimed into this webinar, folks, you're thinking about it already. And you may be deciding between an MPA and an MBA, but an MPA, folks, a public administration degree, is really built for the working adult who is a change maker, the everyday activist. Okay, so who? Working adult, your 20s to 60s, okay, maybe even 70s. You're a savvy career changer or you're a career advancer. Maybe you already have your master's and you want a second one because you're upskilling. You want to learn the new geospatial technologies. You want to up your game a little bit with finances or maybe policy or some of the new legal frameworks. You want to know how to deal with homelessness, the tent cities, all of those other things. Our master's in public administration is built for the working adult. It's practical. You know, as a working adult, you want to learn what you need to learn. You want to get the skills and you want to gain the people in the network that can help you when you reach out for answers to questions you have about making a difference in a nonprofit, in public service, in your church, in your community, in wherever you are working. You know, you want to learn what's needed to learn and you want it to be practical and you want to apply it. That's this degree. You bring your career directly into the assignments. You bring into the discussion space online what you're thinking about today, and you need to learn to make work today better and yourself better as a leader. You apply what you learn every single day. We actually commit to you that everything is relevant. Now, also, number two, core to this, as a working adult, you need flexibility. Right? You need to be able to go full-time sometime, part-time, other time. It's online by design. It's deep and it's about what it takes to be a leader in this new ecosystem today. You can customize it, a concentration. What do you want to focus on? The folks here, the faculty and the student support system help you build the degree really suited to you. Okay. Support, let's talk about that. A lot of us 40s, I returned to go back for a degree in my 40s and I thought, can I really hack this? Can I do this? You can. We have built a super support system so that you have multiple folks to reach out to, a counselor, a coach, even someone focused on your career. You wrap it around practical things you already know. We even give you an opportunity to get credit for your prior learning. What that means is things you've learned on the job. If you have 10, 15, 20 years of experience, talk to us. Let's figure out how you get credit for that. Okay. And third, it is about our society. We need ethical leaders. We need new leaders. We need diverse leaders. We need you. It's a calling. I hope you're listening. That's why, Paquita, that's who this is for.
Thank you. Thank you for your thoughts. And I can certainly say that I can attest to everything that you said about the experience at CLU. That certainly was mine. So thank you both, Jen and Lynn. Now that we've been able to identify who can drive change through this program, I'd like to talk to Kendra. You know, as the program chair of the CLU MPA, what makes the CLU MPA different?
Thank you, Paquita, and hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. So as Paquita said, I have the good fortune of serving as the department chair for our MPA program. And this is a really special program because, as you might know, there's no shortage of MPA programs available. The market is saturated with MPA programs, and for good reason. A life, a career in service to others is incredibly important. And so why CLU embarked on this endeavor to have its own MPA program is really so we could provide an opportunity for people to learn about public administration in some of the traditional ways that we learn about public administration, those of us who have MPAs, but also in a new way. Okay, so when it comes down to choosing a program, I think it comes down to experience, which I think is what Claremont Lincoln is offering to our students. So our program is designed for people of all ages and career status to come in and learn about the field of MPA, of public administration, and how to practice your profession in a manner that is socially conscious, that's focused on community and finding solutions to complex problems that are important to you. That is unique, and that is the selling point of this program and why I'm so proud to be affiliated with this program. So when students enroll in our program, there is a considerable amount of time that they spend learning about the discipline and the practice of public administration, as well as applying what they're learning to their career, their future career, and to their community, which I think is so important. And finally, a really, really exciting aspect of our program is our Mpa Advisory Council. So Jed listed off a few people who are affiliated with our advisory council, but these are individuals who are living a life of public service, who our students have direct contact with. That's incredibly important and very unique to this program. And so when it comes to why this program is so unique and so important, I think that it comes down to experience. It comes down to our curriculum, and I think that it comes down to the access that our students will have, not only to each other, not only to incredible faculty who are affiliated with this program, but also public servants who are doing the work, who can serve as a sounding board, who can serve as connections into the career that our students want to have. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mac, this is a unique partnership between CLU and the Lincoln Institute of Land Policy. What does the Lincoln Institute of Land Policy bring to the CLU MPA program?
So Kendra, the Lincoln Institute has been working for the last 75 years to really find new approaches, new ideas, and deploy them on the ground to make places work, better. And over those 75 years, we've accumulated a global network of partners, academics, practitioners, elected officials, advocates, numbering in the thousands. And we've been working with them to really solve a variety of different challenges that they face on the ground, everything from how are they going to fund their city to how are they going to prepare their city to adapt to climate change, to how they're going to prepare their city to contribute to the mitigation of climate change and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. How are they going to preserve and conserve land that is going to be so essential to not just the success of the human race, but habitat for endangered species, and produce all the services that make it possible for us to live in cities, like fresh water. And those that's an asset that we bring, that we offer freely to anybody who wants to do business with us. If you want to become part of our networks, we welcome you in, and our networks become a resource for people trying to solve problems. Because one of the things we've recognized over 75 years is that not every problem is unique. Lots of people have encountered similar problems in other places and come up with some innovative solutions. And part of our job is just to introduce them to each other. So you want to find a way to deal with the redevelopment of a brownfield in your community. Well, you know what? We know hundreds of people who have redeveloped brownfields in their communities in the United States and in other parts of the world. Oh, you want to find a way to, produce affordable housing where you haven't produced affordable housing for the last 50 years. What are the ideas that we have now for ways to use innovative land policy and financial interventions to produce affordable housing for shelter for low-income people in your jurisdiction? How are we going to find ways to connect housing to public transit systems? Well, we've been doing it all over the US and all over the world, and we can help you to do that. And so the Lincoln Institute has a gigantic network of problem solvers around the globe. But we also have a gigantic library of curated resources that we offer, again, mostly freely. We sell some of the books, but almost everything else you can download off the internet. And these are working papers, policy focus reports, policy briefs, different ways that we've been able to, and a quarterly magazine, Landlines, that kind of provides people with just a window into the insights and the novelty that people have been able to bring to addressing urban challenges around the world. And so one of the things that we've noticed in working for 75 years is, well, two things. The first thing is that when you think about the quality of life and how it gets delivered, most people don't understand it, but your quality of life is almost always delivered by your local government. And most people obsess about what national governments do, sometimes what state governments do, but they kind of miss the point when they don't understand that your quality of life goes down really quickly when your sewers fail, or your quality of life is awfully bad when nobody's there to pick up the trash or to clean the streets, or to make sure the electricity is provided in a steady way. And the need to have effective local government is so profound and so kind of invisible that for us, we've been trying to find ways to help build local government capacity. And right now, our best effort is being put into this MPA program, because we see this as not just a master's degree, but a set of stackable certificates that will give people deep expertise in areas that they might not have. Like as Lynn pointed out, maybe it's geospatial analysis, maybe it's finding ways to do civic engagement and planning, or maybe it's ways to understand how to link planning and public finance. And so these are things that we have deep expertise in, and we're just offering people a way to kind of learn from us, and for us to learn together from you, because everybody that we add to our network becomes part of our sensory apparatus. They're our eyes and ears on the ground. They bring to us the challenges that they're facing, and they pose these questions that we're able to then dig into and help them to answer. So it's exciting for us just to be part of it. And I think we bring a unique set of assets that will really enhance the quality of life for people on the planet, but also the work experience for people who get an MPA through CLU.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much for those additional information. And we've talked about the why, we've talked about the difference. We've also talked about this unique partnership. So let's talk about, when is the right time? Lynn, can you talk to us a little bit more about when is the right time?
Now is the right time. You're on this webinar. Look, this degree is new. It was built for today. It's got all the expertise you just heard Mac talk about in terms of the Lincoln Institute of Land Policy. It's got the attention of how we deal with municipalities and everything that Jed represents with our Mpa Advisory Council. You've got faculty members and leaders such as Kendra, who care deeply about the students, and they're there to support working adults and flex the program. And then there's another reason, folks, so let me get very practical for all of you who are working adults out there. Remember, 20s to 70s, you're price conscious, right? You're very savvy about what you need. So we're not only flexible, nimble, open to your work experience, we're also quite affordable and accessible. Okay, right now, we are at $5.95 a credit hour. It's 15% off the typical amount all the way through to 2021. If you apply for one of our fellowships, and you should, that brings it down to about $422 per credit hour. So how many credit hours? 12 courses, 36 credits. Okay, that's the degree, built to help you become that savvy career advancer, to address all those issues that Jed and Mac talked about. It's also now because you're here and you're seeking something. We can tell, all of us are. We're looking for ways to engage the world differently. We're looking to really try to create better cities, a better planet, and a progressive society. I mean, that is what education's about. That's what it means to change the leadership ecosystem, folks. We need that new ecosystem. So now, Paquita, that's really easy now.
Thank you. And going over to Mac, what are your thoughts?
Well, you know, one of the things the last 2 years has taught us is that we really do need a functional government to really help to promote our own existence. I mean, without the EMTs that are responding to people now with COVID, without our ability to kind of put in place a distribution of everything from PPP to food to everything that people are needing to kind of just survive a pandemic. It just reminds us just how important it is that we have functional local government. And it's only going to be more important going forward as we emerge from this, the pandemic and the economic crisis that has accompanied it. We now are starting to understand how important it is to have reliable infrastructure and supply chains that can bring us the goods that we need. And all of that relies on that kind of function. And it's going to require a new set of skills because we're really dealing with a new world now. We've now understood that there are challenges that have been posed by a global economy that make life a little bit different than we understood it before. When a ship gets stuck in the Suez Canal and all of a sudden goods don't flow to our supermarkets or we can't get the chips to build cars in the United States, we start to understand the fragility of our global economy. And we understand how important it is that at every different level, we need innovative people that are driven by the right kind of ethics, that have the right skills and can really dig in when they need to. And more than ever, we're going to need more and more people that are able to kind of summon the right kinds of skills and the right kinds of ideas to deal with all the new challenges we have, whether it's the hacking of our oil pipeline or if it's the freezing of our entire electric grid in Texas. We've seen it all just in the last 2 years, and we know just how important it is to get those new skills up and running.
Thank you. No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. These are great examples because when we really consider and look at the infrastructure of us of our local government, national government, there's definitely change and opportunity to be made. And I feel like the opportunity to be a change maker is right here at CLU. It is, as Dr. Pretty said, it's accessible, it's affordable. There is a significant care of the faculty. And from my experience, the engagement is just different. And I can't say enough about my own experience and how I feel to be led as far as going out and making change and what was equipped of me within my time at CLU. So thank you. So you can answer this question, Jed and Kendra. So Jed, where can an MPA be used?
Well, the funny thing is that we really need to bring along that next generation of leadership in government, the next generation of city managers, police chiefs, planning directors, service department directors, people who are running literally the operations that make a city and a county function. And it's a scary time in government right now. I mean, if you just look around, our basic institutions that serve our communities, they're losing trust. There's less of an element of faith and trust in government institutions right now. And we're going to need good leadership to turn that around. In some of the conversations I've had with my own advisory council members, the thing that is just really standing out to me is that it all starts with how we lead and how we talk to people. We have to be upfront with people with what we can accomplish and what we can do. And that's a really important part to ethical leadership, to telling people straight up, this is what we can get done right now. And this is what we can't. And if we can't, here's why. The lack of trust in government is something that we're going to all have to work together in. And it's going to take those leaders in government to help turn that attitude around. But I just want to add one other thing. You asked the question of when's the right time, and Lynn gave an outstanding answer. I've been thinking about some of the conversations I've been having with the advisory council members, and one of my favorite conversations is with my buddy Rex Richardson, Vice Mayor of Long Beach, who brought up the fact that when things are inequitable in government institutions, that's not an accident. That means the system was designed that way and the system is working. So if we want to make changes in the way that policy arrives at equity, we have to change the system that was designed to treat people inequitably. And we hope that you here today will join us to be that next generation to turn that around.
Thank you. Thank you. Kendra, same question. What are your thoughts on where can an MPA be used?
So personally, personally and professionally, I think an MPA can be used anywhere. So in our world, in our country, we will never be in a shortage of people who have good communication skills, community building skills, directing skills, finance and administration skills. We will never be not in need of those skills. And it's important. And I think it's also important to really emphasize because that's Claremont Lincoln, we talk about change makers, right? Our students are change makers. Pakita, you're a change maker. But I really want to emphasize that you can be and I don't want that to be intimidating. I don't want a student to think, or a potential student to think, I don't know if I can make change. So I don't know if this is the place for me, because making change is just doing the right thing, is being an influencer in your organization, mentoring other people, being a pillar of your community. That is being a change maker from my perspective. And I think that this MPA program really offers the opportunity, because those qualities are within you already, right? But the MPA program is an opportunity to really sharpen those skills and really help build our students' confidence in their place in this society and their responsibility in society to use your talents, to use your skills to do good in this city. And my panelists mentioned an electrical outage that we had. So I live in Houston, right? So in February, we had a winter storm that wasn't that bad, but the entire electrical grid went out for the city, and I lost power for 4 days. For someone who experiences public failures in that way, just having competent leaders, right? Because there were seniors who were without power for days. There were people with small children who were without power. There were seniors who had to be moved out of their retirement facility in the middle of an ice storm because we didn't have power. Having people who are competent, who are able to speak truth to power and say, hey, this is not okay, or hey, this is how we can correct course. These are all of the things that we need from our students. And I think that our program equips our students to do that in a really unique and thoughtful and meaningful way.
Thank you. Yes, it goes back to the golden rule, which we talk about a lot as far as one of the core values of CLU. So thank you for that. So I do have some additional questions. This is for all of our panelists, because I think that this is so relevant and crucial for us to hear. So to wrap up, let's do a lightning round. You have 1 minute to answer this question. And first we're gonna start with Jed. Why is an MPA important in today's world?
Mhm.
Well, the fact remains that that to have a precise and deep and technical understanding of all the facets of government is just really critical to advancing. So just in general, yes, the concept that you need expertise that is both technical and academic in its foundation, that's obviously critical. But the other thing, and to make it more timely and not generic, and I'm basically making the pitch that education in its own pursuit is always its own value. But right now, there has never been a greater need for government leadership with an understanding of equity. This is the time right now when all of us who work for cities and counties, who are elected to lead them, who are advocating for policy, this is our chance to enact change. And so this particular type of program is absolutely needed. It is absolutely timely right now.
Very timely. Thank you. Kendra, same question. Why is an MPA important in today's world?
We need people. That's kind of it. I mean, maybe that should be the tagline of the program. We need people. We need people who are doing the right thing. We need people who are trained to work to work professionally, to work thoughtfully, to work well with others. We need all of these things, and we need people who are trained in this and to do it ethically and responsibly.
Thank you. Yep. People ethically. That's definitely a key word, especially in this arena. Max, same thing. MPA, why is it important in today's world?
So Paquita, the MPA is important as a credential because it gives you kind of the entry to be able to deploy your talents in a certain way. But the real question here for me is, why this MPA? And I think the important thing here is that this MPA is designed for lifelong learners who understand that the way to solve problems is through collaboration, through mindfulness, through working together with other change makers. And that's what we want to do. We want to cultivate those people who are going to go out there and make a difference in the world, because they're going to have the ticket of entry, the MPA, to get them in the door, to get the job. But what they're going to do with it is the key, and that's why it's important, and that's why this is a golden opportunity for those who want to make a difference to find a way to do it. Right.
Thank you, Lynn. To you.
Excellent answers from everyone. I want to pick up where Mac left off, where Jed started, and what Kendra said, and what one of our one of our fellowship students has indicated in the chat. Claremont Lincoln University, mindfulness, dialogue, collaboration, change. The Claremont Core, in addition to all that has been said, Mac is right. We have to pull ourselves together. We need to be at our very best together. We can't go it alone individually. And what you see on this panel and what you see in the chat is you see that students in our courses are already working adults in the public sector, in the nonprofit sector, in all sectors, and they're challenging each other to understand what does it mean to get beyond the rage of this past year or two, and how do we build this society? And it won't be done alone. Claremont Lincoln University is uniquely focused on collaboration. Look, we're with the Lincoln Institute. Look, we're working with the public officials as represented by Jed. We're working across the nation. And here you are, our moderator, one of our students. It's about us together, our diversity, listening and creating the change. That's Claremont Lincoln University.
Thank you. Creating change, absolutely. So now we want to turn it over to you, those who have joined us today. So please feel free to go ahead and ask your questions. You can even share your questions in the Q&A box. And while you're placing your questions in the Q&A box, I would love to introduce you to Leslie Patterson, CLU Director of Enrollment, who is joining me to help field some of your questions. And in a bit, she will also be able to address some more details about the MPA program, the enrollment process, and how to reach out to her. Leslie?
Thank you. Yes, please feel free to put in your questions in either the chat or the Q&A portion of box. While we wait for those to come in, like Paquita said, I am Leslie Patterson. I'm the Director of Enrollment. Some things that oftentimes students want to know. You heard a lot about the program. You heard a lot about the fellowship. That probably piqued a few of your ears. So I want to go ahead and just let you know some things about that fellowship. And the most important thing is the deadline to apply and how to apply. That deadline is June 4th. And awardees will actually know that they have been awarded that fellowship by June 11th, which is in plenty of time for classes to start June 28th. So if Rena, if you would like to put in the scholarship or the fellowship application webpage into the chat, that way each of you have access to that very easily. All right, thank you, Rena. And that is in your chat. So while it looks like we are waiting for some questions to come in, I actually have a question that I'd like to pose to you, Paquita, and I think it would be a great way to get things started. As a professional doing this graduate program 100% online, can you tell the audience a little bit about what it was like to be an online graduate student?
Sure, it was a great question. And it's interesting because it was one of the things that I thought about before I even started. Can I do this? It had been a while, right, when I came into this space, but I definitely found, based off of the support that I received from CLU, from the instructors, that I was able to do it. I was able to manage it. I was able to be engaged with my classmates within my cohort. There's a lot of time for questions and projects that we're able to do. So I found it very manageable. I think I'm quintessential in the sense of, you're working. It's been a while since you were in school. I'm still mom, I'm wife. I have leadership roles in other arenas as well as within the workplace. But being able to kind of find that balance, I found it to be a lot easier, especially as I kind of got into a groove. So I definitely found that it was enjoyable. I was able to learn the way that it was set up at the time that I went through the program. I had a clear understanding of when assignments were due, what was asked of me, and the participation that was needed. And I just found that I was able to grow. And when you're working alongside people who have the same fundamental core values and desire to do better, to be better, and to be able to make, as we keep talking about, change, I found it to be easy because I was excited to be able to go back and have those conversations with individuals that I was in class with, and to be able to kind of connect and kind of offshoot and think a lot. And then I also had opportunities to get together, of course, pre-COVID, with some of those that were in my cohort as well. So it was definitely an enriching, it was very enriching for me to be able to do so online. It 1000% can be done. And this was designed specifically for this. It wasn't designed and then, there was a pivot to change to go into this space. It was always designed this way, and you can feel it in the way that everything flowed. So hopefully that was helpful to those who are thinking about it.
Very good, thank you. And it looks like we have a question, and I'm going to open this up. Probably Lynn, you might be the best to answer this, but can you please explain more about how the CLU core courses combine with the rest of the curricula? Are they woven in, standalone, or some other combination?
That's a great question. And actually, so if we have someone here who's been, I know Paquita, you have, but we also have our students who are new, and if they want to chat in the chat box as well, how they are experiencing it. So the Claremont Core is actually a series of 3 courses, but it is also a thread of self-reflection, dialogue, collaboration, and change that's built through every single course. So as you're working with your assignments, as you're dialogue, debating, vetting things out about what's equity look like today in your discussion, that will happen in your program courses as well as in the core courses. But the 3 core courses, the first one's an invitation. It invites you to really ask yourself, what am I trying to learn? Where do I want to grow? How do I want to be different? How is this going to be relevant to me? How can I be mindful? It really is an inquiry. And then it invites you to say, okay, so now how do I include others? How am I equitable? How do I accept and work with diverse people, even toxic people, even people I believe are adamantly, flatly, outright wrong. And at the same time, you're beginning to research into an area that really interests you. I mean, this is an area, small or big, that you want to make change. Okay, and again, your program courses are feeding into that. You're going back and forth between the substance of what service means and bringing service back to service into a community. And then in the capstone, you literally are taking something very meaningful to you, perhaps it's a work project, and you are taking all that you've learned thus far, you're integrating into this culminating experience, you can design it, you can fashion it in a variety of ways that really works for you. Maybe it works for a work project you're trying to accomplish, but it continually wraps around it, along with all the other courses, this thread of ethical leadership that is seeking to create an ecosystem of leaders that are looking for new, diverse, different, everyday, practical, want to make a difference leaders, marked by ethics. Okay, that's the Claremont Core, 3 courses, but wrapped in and out and woven. That's that insignia we have, that double Mobius. And if you don't know what a double Mobius is, as I did not either, look up Mobius, M-O-B-I-U-S. Gives you a real clue about who we are.
All right, we have another question that I think is probably going to be directed towards you, Lynn, again. So can you please share what your post-completion relationship looks like for your graduates, how you support them afterwards and become resources for reaching their next steps?
So you heard Mac talk about this, and I actually think Mac needs to respond to this as well, because Lincoln Institute, our generous funder of the fellowships as well, folks, is part of this ongoing relationship. But bottom line, I'm excited to announce beginning in August, we've already begun reaching back out to alumni right now with focus groups and asking them what they think. They helped us revamp the core. They've told us things about courses we need to change, where we need more support. We added the professional coach. We've done all sorts of things. So lots of tapping of their thinking. We're launching a new set of advanced practice certificates. Okay, there are ways that you can actually and you're going to hear, if you're alumni or even current students, the pricing on that is you're just going to love, but you'll have to wait for that to come out. That's a teaser, so you can call Leslie, she'll tell you. But whether it's advanced practice certificate in land policy, or maybe you want to come back and do the advanced version of the Claremont Core, or really get into what it takes to be a leader who knows what real DEI means in the workplace. Urban sustainability, resources, planning, several different certificates. But I want to toss it to Mac, because I think the follow-up, this is what makes this relationship so exciting. Mac, jump in.
So let's just say that once you kind of fall into the orbit of the Lincoln Institute of Land Policy, you don't get out very easily. Once we get you into our networks, we try to find ways to keep you engaged. And our hope is that the alumni of the MPA program will become a network unto themselves, so that basically they stay in contact with each other and with us, with CLU and with the Lincoln Institute, so that we can introduce you to new topics, new research, new issues that are emerging in the field, but also to keep you connected to each other, so that when somebody has a new challenge that they haven't encountered before, they can reach out to those who have addressed those challenges and bring them into their orbit, more closely, to kind of share what they've learned. So just to give you an example, so almost 50 years ago now, we were approached by tax judges who work in different states in the US, saying that it's really hard for them to kind of get connected to other tax judges because there's no membership network of tax judges. And so we decided that we would build a network of tax judges, and we convene them every year so they can kind of talk about different taxation issues that are coming up with them, and they ask us to prepare some information for them about some of these new tax issues so they can understand kind of the technicalities. And we help them with understanding, how are people doing valuation on dark stores or closed malls? And how does that affect the public finance of a local jurisdiction? We've also convened for the last 20 years the leading planners for the 35 largest cities in the United States twice a year in partnership with the American Planning Association. And every year they get together and they go over some of the leading kinds of issues that they have to deal with, and they troubleshoot and workshop some of the problems. And for the last 2 years, their leading issue that they've been trying to deal with is racial equity, and figuring out how they actually work within their cities and network within their cities and across cities to deal with racial equity problems and find innovative ways to deal with it and to advance practice. And as Jed pointed out before, this is these are systemic structural problems that have been part of our system for the last at least 100 years. And so trying to break them down and work together is something that they've been doing for years, and they'll probably be on their agenda for the next 4 or 5 years as well. So once you're in, and if you're interested, I mean, we don't force people to engage, but we think that we're going to be able to keep people, tied into the network and able to share both challenges and innovation and new ideas, and just stay connected as a collective force. So that's what we see as your future as an alumni of the MPA program.
Wonderful. We've actually got a couple questions on deck. We have one asking if there is a final project. Kendra, do you want to address that?
Yes, why yes, there is. So all CLU students engage in a capstone project that you do at the end of your program. However, we've threaded the capstone throughout most of the coursework. So at various times in a student's time pursuing their degree, they will have touch points where they will be discussing their capstone, narrowing their capstone idea, refining their idea, learning about research. If they do a research type project, learning about research methods in order to prepare for their capstone, and enhancing their writing skills to prepare to do the capstone. So it is a project, and it is a significant project at the end of your term here, but it's also a supportive process at CLU, because CLU also provides a mentor for your capstone.
Great. This next question is probably going to be a great one for you to answer as well, Kendra. And I would love to also hear a little bit from Paquita. The question comes from Brian. He says, I'm a recent graduate from Cal Poly Pomona with a degree in political science. Being a first-generation college graduate, I had a troubling time navigating my undergraduate career on my own. What is some advice you can provide as I begin to consider an MPA at CLU?
Sure, thank you for the question. And I do want to acknowledge that your situation is not uncommon, and it's not particularly unique to you. There are a lot of people who have these challenges in school. And one of the things that I think CLU does really well, so we are a high touch institution, meaning that we stay very engaged with our students. And so at any time after you enroll at the institution, there's student support advisors, you have your faculty, you have your department chair who are there to help guide you through the process. In addition to that, the process is pretty straightforward. So that's always really nice. So I don't believe there's a time at CLU where you're just like, I don't know what to do, which is really good. And then as far as the coursework, this is an online institution. And so it does take a considerable amount of will and drive to do the work on your own, because you're not showing up to class. And so that is something that you will need to have, and time management is something that you will also need to have to manage this process. But I think it's doable. And I think that if there's any place to do it, it's CLU, because we have all the support services that CLU provides, which is really nice.
I would definitely to echo a number of things. So I can say that I too am a first generation college graduate. My undergraduate experience, I went to a very large university, and I had the same feelings, which is why it took me a while to even step out to do a master's program. And I keep saying over and over that I'm glad that I did it with CLU, because of the level of care and engagement I experienced from the faculty, from the staff. And although, as stated, there is work. You have to, you have to get up, you have to get into it and really take ownership of that. But when you take ownership of it and you have those conversations, if you need to reach out, there is always someone there. I cannot stress it enough. The level of support that I received and being able to have questions answered. And that's why I am truly passionate about CLU, about my experience, about the faculty, and why I enjoy having opportunities to support CLU whenever I can. But it absolutely can be done if, and I definitely welcome you to ask any additional questions, but I've been there and I feel that. But if you really put in the time and have the opportunity to connect with those, everyone is willing to connect and want to have these type of conversations, but you will have the support.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah.
This next question came in, and I think it might be a good one for Jed or Lynn. It says, I saw that you have heavy hitters on the Mpa Advisory Council. Can the alumni interact with state, local, regional leaders and work collaboratively with these change makers?
Yes, the answer is just yes. And one of the things that I really love, and one of the things that we are developing is, we are right now hopefully coming out of COVID, and all of our government offices and our agency institutions are probably resuming back to some version of live and in-person functions. But the thing is, one of the things that I really want to make sure that we do well here, and I know we will, is on a regular and recurring and often basis, have our advisory council members just open up their desk and just have a session on a recurring basis, just to let students know, this is what's on my desk this week. This week, I am working on these problems. And I really look forward to opening that up, that level of access to our students. And we're dealing with a lot of first-time issues right now. And then we're coming upon some recurring issues that all cities, all counties, all state agencies have to deal with. And I want to make sure on a regular and ongoing basis that our student body have access to our processes, our decision-making. How do we form stakeholder relationships? How do we manage that? And frankly, that's why I'm here, and that's why I formed this council.
Very good. Well, it looks like the questions have slowed down and stopped coming in, so I'm going to hand it back over to you, Paquita.
Thank you, Leslie. So thank you, Leslie, and thank you all for joining us, for your thoughts and your holding space for this discussion. Please go ahead and tell your friends and family who may be interested in this program to reach out to us and to apply and learn more about the opportunities to gain a fellowship through this MPA. A special thank you to our panelists for your insight and your thoughts about the new MPA program at CLU. We are so excited that we can bring this into the world. You all have had a hand in making this program into a reality. Have a great day, everyone.